Hey everybody, Taylor Lyles with the Greenville Home Builders Association, and this is the Think Big podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the Think Big podcast. Taylor Lyles, Chief Executive Officer of the Home Builders Association and your Think Big podcast host. Super excited today to have Mr. Andrew Coln from Coln Construction.
Thank you.
Andrew, tell the guests and everybody listening who you are, what you do.
Andrew Coln, born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina. We are on Coln Construction. We're a custom home builder. We do large-scale renovations, new homes. Early on, we did some commercial outfits, but mainly just concentrate on residential now. We also have a sister company, Coln Plumbing Company, mainly services our business and 4 other local builders, custom home builders. So 3 employees there and about 7 employees in the construction company.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of where you started. What got you into new construction and renos?
So kind of my history is my grandfather bought Fowler's Pharmacy in 1957, which is kind of a Greenville landmark. At that time, I think he had 2 or 3 stores. He was obviously a pharmacist, and so my mom became a pharmacist after she graduated South Carolina. So I grew up in a family business, selling sunglasses, cleaning shelves, just always meeting customers, delivering prescriptions, like the whole 9 yards, right? So grew up in a family business, always kind of was intrigued by owning my own business. Went to school in North Carolina, and when I graduated, the month I graduated was actually the month the recession started. So interviewed for a lot of jobs kind of all around, interviewed for a job here in Greenville to be a drug rep actually, which was kind of fitting, like knew a lot of the doctors and stuff just from customers coming in. The night before I was going to get hired, they went on a hiring freeze. So I was kind of bummed, but hindsight, I probably would have been the last one in, the first one to go. So I was in Hickory, North Carolina, where I went to school, and had a friend who's about 10 years older than me. His work was slowing down some too, and one of our buddies, the guy I was actually living with at the time, he had some rental houses, started flipping houses, was doing construction projects. And so I got a job at Groucho's Deli as a part-time manager, making sandwiches. I sold Aflac insurance part-time, and I don't know if you knew that. And we bought a house to flip, as well as I was working for my other buddy that was starting to build houses. So we bought that house, and we did everything except for the hard stuff, right? It just needed a lot of aesthetics and kind of lipstick. So, gut the bathroom, hired out the tile work, things we couldn't do. So we did that, and then 6 months later, we sold that to a family and bought their house. So we flipped that house again, and then by that time, I was out of money. And I just kind of opportunity-wise, Hickory's a small town, not a lot of industry at that time. It's busier now. And I always wanted to move back to Greenville. So moved back to Greenville, worked back at Fowler's for a while, where I'd worked kind of high school and college on breaks and stuff like that. And then got a job with a local custom home builder, really well known. They build in the Cliffs and now in the coast and up in North Carolina. Worked for them and left that job to work for an insurance restoration company for a few years. Ended up starting an office for that company out in North Carolina. Long story short, got back into residential, and we started our company in 2014.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And now sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. Yeah. It's all green.
So when you started it, did you have the mindset to go into it for full-on luxury custom home building, or was it more, let's do this renovation, remodeling, get our feet under us, and then kind of build from there?
Yeah, I always wanted to be in a place. So the builder that I worked for when I first came here, actually related to Diller Jones Builders, the company. Tom Dillard, the owner, is my first cousin, so he gave me an opportunity to come in. And at that time, the recession had kind of forced him to take on some renovations. So I was managing renovations for him as best as I could, without a ton of knowledge. And he gave me a lot of rope, and it was really good. I think I always wanted to get back into residential to one day, strive to build those kinds of houses. So, but when you first start, you're taking anything you can.
Of course.
I was building a lot of decks, a lot of garages, a lot of bathroom renovations, and then it just kind of slowly just clicked up. So working out of our house and that whole thing.
So from where you started, kind of like you said, doing the decks, the bathrooms, kitchens, to now, what's the average reno ticket price for Coln Construction?
We do some smaller ones. Any business the bigger the job, the more revenue, the more profitability, for your employees and so on and so forth. But we do some small ones for some past clients and some friends of clients, and but our bread and butter is probably $750,000 or more renovations, and then new homes, in the high 1.75 and up probably.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So building in Greenville, got some projects on the lake. Coln Construction sounds like it's expanding next year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, how many projects will you take on? How big's your staff at Coln? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so back up a little bit. Probably 4 years ago, it was just me and Alan, who's been with me, I think, 8 years now. So just running and gunning, right? Probably running too many projects, but also working a ton of hours. So I've never been one to take on more projects than we could serve the clients really well. Biggest thing to me is quality and that client experience, and knowing that everyone, there's going to be mistakes that happen. There's going to be things that arise. It's just we're really big on quickly addressing a conflict, quickly fixing something if something needs to be fixed, whomever's fault it is. And then, part of that is working with really good clients, right, that have a good mindset of like, hey, if something happens, we trust you're going to take care of it. But kind of fast forward, we've got a really good kind of office staff to field staff. We are really lean, but we kind of format things a little bit different versus having a project manager that is estimating something, quoting something, managing something, billing something, however other companies do it. Our staff in the office, kind of it flows through a project coordinator to a project manager that has an assistant superintendent in the field as well. And then we have a couple full-time carpenters in the field too, to not knock out the big framing things or the big things that you would sub out, but we have a staff of about 7 of us, including myself. So we manage about a handful of projects at any given time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you touched on client experience.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Coln Construction way of managing that client experience and client expectation? Let's get real for a second. Are you dumping money into marketing but barely seeing any results? Go Digital can help. Using their marketing matrix, they zero in on your target audience and engage them where it matters the most. Go Digital acts as your full-service marketing team, saving you the hassle and cost of building an entire in-house team or trusting random gurus you found on the internet. It is also important to note that they don't just serve home service businesses. They own one. They've been in your shoes. They know what works because they've lived it. Wondering why I know so much about them? It's because I've been a client for them over a year, and I couldn't be happier with the results. So if you're ready to start winning more leads for less, hit the link in the show notes and schedule a free 20-minute consultation today.
Yeah, I watched a podcast one time, and he kind of, I'm gonna butcher this, but he kind of talked about Monorail Theory. Is that what you walk in on the airport, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of always communicating to that client, always keeping them abreast of what's going on. So like, hey, this is what happened, this is what's happening, and this is what's gonna happen. So our client experience is really heavy on communication, really heavy on transparency. We use Builder Trends, obviously text, phone calls, emails, but just making sure the client has an idea of what's going on, where they are on budget. If there are changes, that's fine. Like you want to add things, you want to subtract things, we can do that all day. Just giving them a really good experience to make each project unique. I think like one thing I'm proud of is all of our projects are unique. Like we can upfit a coffee shop to the specifications or whatever the client wants, to a renovation to a new home, whether it's modern, traditional, 100 years old to brand new. So I'm proud of that. We've got really good knowledge base in-house, but our subcontractors and our vendor partners are key to us. Like a lot of my subs we've worked with for, some of them close to 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And try to really be loyal to those subs because they're loyal to us. I think, I was talking to a builder that we do plumbing for yesterday, and he's been in business, been doing this for close to 50 years. And, his big thing is just the subcontractors, the guys in the field, the tradespeople, the ones that are touching the house, whether they're talking to the client or not, they're the best representation of what you are, not just your internal staff. If we send someone to a vendor, our vendor partners know that the quality that we want to bring, the communication, the client experience, and then, the products that we like to work with that we know we can stand by, we can warranty, and that the client's going to be happy with.
Very cool. Yeah, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes is how that luxury custom builder versus kind of your larger production corporations kind of manage client expectations differently. Now, mind you, they're not, that large corporate production builder is not building $1 million+ house in most situations, but it's still the same principles. It's being forthcoming, it's being open and honest, it's letting them know even when there's nothing to update them on. I mean, it's just sending a text and saying, hey, just want to let you know, nothing really happened this week, but this, and this is happening next week. So it's staying on top of that. And I think a lot of luxury custom guys, they are running lean and they are running a smaller team. And I don't want to say it gets forgotten about, but it kind of gets pushed by the wayside.
Yeah.
So completely developing that client experience, kind of like we discussed in a previous episode, it's how they start the conversation and truly how they end the conversation. So at the end, when they close, they take the keys, they forget about all those little things in the middle. Mm-hmm. Like this one board got put in and I didn't think this wall was going to be there, but then they fixed it. That all gets forgotten about. It's how you met the person and how you close the deal.
Yeah.
At the end. So I think that's huge for the luxury custom builder world.
Yeah, my biggest, and the thing that our staff and our all of our partners, trade partners and subcontracting partners, like, it's kind of a couple things, right? Like, I'm really proud that we do multiple projects for the same client. All right, so we've done some clients we've done 5 jobs for over the years, and so that repeat business gives me a lot of confidence that we're doing things the right way. Like, I want the project to start really well. Like, we're in the same boat. I want the client to feel comfortable if there's an issue to come to us. Like, we can address the conflict. We can make things right if there's an issue. And then we can end the project really well. And a lot of our clients are friends with us. And I think that's the challenge of what we do. And the long game is we work for a lot of our neighbors and we work for a lot of our friends and family. So, you're opening yourself up to a lot of things that can go wrong if you let them go wrong. But I think another thing to hit on is we really like the challenge of doing new things. And like, always always learning, always like expanding our construction knowledge, always getting better at like that client interaction, and trying to do it better than anyone else, because I think not anybody can build a house, but it's the experience. Like if you're going to build a house for a family, which typically is two different people with two different emotions, building the most expensive thing in their life with their money. It's a really big deal. So we don't take it lightly. And so yeah, it's a huge difference in the custom and the luxury home building world, where you may be a niche company where you're running a handful of projects at a time versus 50 houses at a time. Both are very stressful. The 50 houses is a little bit easier to plan.
Yeah.
On the expectation of the product, right? But I think in what we do, being smaller and being a little slower and paying attention to the quality, it is the long game, because those houses are going to kind of stand the test of time, for use of a better word. But
Yeah, you're adding to the landscape of the city at that point, or wherever it's being built. That home's going to be there, so you're building something that people are going to pass by every single day. So you want it to be quality, you want it to look good, you want it to be timeless.
But you need the client to speak really well of you at the end of it.
Yep.
Because every job could be your last.
True. Very true. We talked about challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges in the new construction world for y'all?
I think in the custom home building world, we were joking yesterday. I took some of our people to lunch, and there was 5 of us in my truck riding back to the office, and I think Alan said, like, could you imagine building houses before cell phones, right? Because now you got this computer in your pocket. You're expected to answer at any time, day or night. You're expected to keep up on every single new Pinterest or, Instagram or TikTok thing that somebody's put in their house. So the challenge for us really is like the education piece of it. You're not going and buying something that's already built. You're creating a prototype. So that prototype, if a client sees a picture of something, their expectation of cost is a really big challenge that we face. So educating them on why we don't want to buy a plumbing fixture at a big box store versus a local supplier, or why the price is this. And so post-COVID's been very challenging from a pricing standpoint, I'd say. Availability of products is not really an issue for us anymore, via some sort of black swan event, but the pricing is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I think on the pricing standpoint, I think that the market has seen that people will pay the price. And although lumber's back down to $4,250 linear board feet, you're still paying that $1,000+ price for it. They know that the client's going to pay it. So from a supplier, from a vendor, from something, I think what we're seeing at the association is a lot of people are having a hard time saying, oh, well, I'm going to go back down to what my price was pre-2020, because they're going to pay it. That client needs it. The money's coming into the market. So I think that's been an interesting shift for us. One note I was going to make about managing clients' price expectations was, you mean to tell me that HGTV, their pricing isn't correct when you can add a third floor for $25,000?
Meredith loves Chip and Joanna Gaines. I'm like super entertaining. Like Chip's hilarious, right? But it is a hard thing. Not so much anymore for us, but I would say like 5 years ago, people would see a house being flipped on a Saturday morning in 4 weeks for $50,000. So
you're like, yes, we can do that, but it's lipstick on a pig. It's paint. We may get windows, but we probably can't because the lead time doesn't work. But you can probably get a new roof.
Well, somebody could show you a picture from their Pinterest or their Instagram, and to me, I'm very analytic, so that picture could be a big living room, right? So from ceiling to floor, there's 100 different building components in that picture. Are you looking at the beams? Are you looking at the windows? Are you looking at the flooring? Are you looking at the countertops? And the client saying, no, I'm looking at the light coming in the room. So it's all about communication. It's like you have to really dig in and invest. And for us, is the pre-construction is huge.
Yeah.
Figuring out all those details on the front end so that we're not going through the project asking tons of questions from the client, or having the client be surprised that they didn't know something was going to end up the way that it did. So
let's actually touch on that from a client coming into Coln Construction. What does that pre-construction process look like? Like if I'm Susie Q off the street and I've got $2.5 million to spend on a new construction home, what does that process look like with Coln?
So our most successful projects are when the client and the builder, the architect and the designer all work together. That might have a landscape designer aspect too, but that whole team works together pre-construction. So whether they're coming to me first or an architect or designer, we try to align with those professional partners that know that collaboration on the front end is super important. Because if we are brought a set of plans and client is bidding that project out with 5 different builders, they're getting 5 different ways to build, they're getting 5 different ways to estimate, 5 different kinds of proposals. And so working through that on the front end is huge. So our pre-construction is typically, it could be 4 to 6 months, could be longer, could be shorter, depending on the level of detail that we've selected. So we've got a process, and it's a phased process to where we're walking through those selections with, we get a set of plans from the architect. We're working with the architect and the client to make sure that's what they want before we take it to pricing. And so we might price the nuts and the bolts of it, but all of the pretty things need to be selected, because those can really sway the price, and they can sway the process of building it as well. Whether it's lead times or applications of unique materials that we have to, maybe it's the first time we've used this material, right? So the education piece of it, knowing that when we break ground, whether it's a renovation or a new home, we're able to really hit the ground running. So pre-construction's huge. Anybody that's not spending a ton of time in pre-construction, it's a recipe for failure.
I could not agree more on that statement. I think getting the expectation set up front from your standpoint, from luxury custom builder standpoint, is truly key. So you talked about working with architects and designers. Do y'all do any of that in-house, or you kind of rely on outside designers and architects?
We don't do design or architecture in-house, but we do have, great architects, designers, whether landscape, interiors, in Greenville that we work with. And going back to kind of the uniqueness of each project, like, I never want someone to ride through a neighborhood and say, Coln built that house because it looks a certain way. I think you can get kind of niched into, this is the look of our home, or this is the material we use, or this is the door, the window. It gives us the availability to stay creative and be challenged by different kinds of construction. So some really good partners in Greenville, architecture, design, so forth.
Very cool. What would you say is kind of your unique style? Like, how, in building, what would you say you enjoy building the most?
I don't think that I base the enjoyment of our projects on the style of the house or the the components or the aesthetics or the architecture as much as like that client interaction, making it their own, if that makes sense. Like, it sounds cheesy, but
it's true.
It is true. Like, if we did a historic renovation last year for some awesome clients, and you wouldn't know it, but she like is really into plants and like kind of herbs and stuff like that. So like, we built this sun shelf above her kitchen sink, and I would have never thought that would be something, but it was a challenge to design it. It's a cantilevered floor to kick out to like a kind of a bay window above the sink, and how we revealed the countertop, and staying within code with outlets and making sure that things hit exactly correctly. We had a kitchen renovation where it was a second job we did for the clients, to where big windows, vaulted ceiling, what to do with like the casing. And so we kind of engineered the casing to be the marble countertop that went around the window. And we hadn't done that before, so yeah.
How about, I think I saw on your Instagram that y'all did a smoking room, but not cigar smoking room, but
Yeah, so you'll see that in the Bridge Awards.
Okay. Bridge Awards, April 24th, for those of you who are listening. February 14th is the deadline for submissions.
So that client, that was the third job I think we did for those clients, second or third. Really cool pool house with awesome living room. He likes to drink beer, so beer taps inside, fireplace, porch, retracted screen, but he cooks a lot. So he has, this big pull behind, cookers, smokers. It's a garage, but 100% all walls and ceilings are tile. Super durable, so you can go in and wash it down. A grease trap in the floor. Don't listen to that D-hack. So basically, if he goes out early in the morning and it's raining, he can pull a smoker into the garage. It has a big commercial ventilation fan above it. And then across the way, we ordered a cooler, a walk-in cooler that we engineered and built around. And so it has a commercial full-scale, probably 8 by 12 walk-in cooler across on it.
That's fantastic. Yeah. This man's got meat storage for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have any of his food?
Yes. He's got killer. I mean, he does, where we do maybe one Boston butt, he's got 50 at one time going. So he cooks for the
we're
whole
talking about
a church.
Real.
Yeah, he's an endodontist by trade, but I think that's his real passion for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. What kind of advice would you give to someone looking at building a custom home? Not necessarily that's going to work with you, but what is one thing you wish homeowners came in already knowing? Builders, trades, realtors. If you're looking for a flooring partner you can trust, look no further. I'm here to tell you about All About Flooring. All About Flooring is a family-owned business with 3 generations of owners that know the flooring business inside and out. They work in residential and commercial projects for both new builds and remodels by providing high-quality customer service and installation for carpet, area rugs, hardwoods, laminate, luxury vinyl, and more. Y'all, they even provide professional carpet, tile, and upholstery cleaning. At All About Flooring, they're more than just a flooring provider. They're your partner in delivering top-tier results that your customers will absolutely love. You can find their website linked in the show notes, or visit their 9,000 square foot showroom at 2111 North Pleasantburg Drive. Now, let's get back to the show.
For me, that trust factor is huge. So I'm on the board of the HBA with you guys, and a lot of good builder buddies at the table that I don't want to say compete against, but they're upper tier builders. I think that we are too. So when we go up against them per se, and a client's talking to us or them, some of us are kind of on the same page that use these guys because we know the level of quality they're going to build with, but use who you like based on personality. I think the biggest thing for me is people that don't be shunned away by the price as much. Dig into the details with your builder, because to a certain extent, the handful of people that you want to build that home for you, we're using a lot of the same trades people. We're using a lot of the same vendor partners. We all kind of run the restaurant differently in some ways, right? Some people don't have offices, some people do, some people have staff, some people are on the job every day. I think the education piece and having the client know that we want to educate them on the cost, right? So they want this really beautiful thing, but the house is 5,000 square feet and we need to renovate it. So that means we need to paint it, we need to do the floors, and we need to do windows and all these not sexy things that add up to get that kitchen and to get that bathroom. So I think the education is lacking a little bit.
Yep.
And for the consumer. So we're always trying to educate. We're always trying to say, look, like I use the term pick your horse and run with them, whether it's us or someone else. Like let us step you through that process, because we're transparent and we're honest and we're gonna, you tell me what you want in the budget, and we're gonna work within those parameters. So
I love it. You made a good point about you being on the board, president-elect for 2026. Big title.
One more year to lay low.
One more year. I mean, it's not really laying low. You're president-elect.
That's right.
Like you got to be at everything this year.
I haven't missed a meeting.
No, I'm talking about everything.
The social
all
events.
80 plus events.
86 social events.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a couple. Mm-hmm. It's not like you have 4 kids and a wife and
so January 1st, I'll just give Meredith a high five and say, look, see you in 2 years.
Text Taylor when you need him. I love it. So talking about the HBA, let's talk about what the HBA has done for you, your business, and kind of what some of the benefits of the association are for maybe some luxury custom builders that hadn't taken the leap to join the association.
Well, I mean, the association is a lot of things that I didn't know before I got into it. So, I joined the HBA after eating breakfast with you. Mm-hmm. How many years ago that was?
It was several years.
And then I've been on the board 3 years, I guess.
Yep.
You don't know what you don't know, right? Our HBA and what you've done for the HBA has been huge. I think we're very fortunate, obviously, to have you and Jenna and everybody in the office that throws these great events. And, there's the networking aspect of it. Gives, whether you're a vendor that's joining, whatever it is, or a builder, it's nice to be in a community. It's nice to, I think the word competition is not a good word. I think collaboration is great. I think I love hanging out with the other builders that we do compete against jobs with. We have trade craft that we talk about. We help each other's businesses because I think water finds its own level. That's been really beneficial to me. You've helped me with a lot of stuff over the years. I think the government affairs side of the HBA is really unknown, how much time you spend and how much time we spend to make sure that our community is in a good spot, right? You want growth. You want it to be the correct growth. You want it to be smart growth. But, if you're not growing, you're dying. So,
yep.
What else did I touch on with the HBA? It's been really eye-opening for me. I mean, I didn't ever plan on being on the board until you asked me, but it's a huge thing, and I think it's for the members, whether you're a builder or an associate member. I mean, it's a massive benefit. You have the availability to tap into resources, whether it's insurance, 401k. If you're starting out your business, legal affairs. There are so many things when you start a business you don't know, and you have to figure it out. So if you're with other people, or you have the availability to say, if you give somebody your cell phone and say, call me if you need anything, and they're in a pinch, or they have a legal question, or they need an accountant, or all the insurance, there's just a ton of connections, but the right connections and a lot of really good people. So.
That's probably one of the best summaries of the association that we've gotten on a podcast.
I had a Red Bull before I got here.
Well done, Andrew. Well done.
Thanks.
So, kind of starting to wrap up the podcast, I want to kind of finish on what is one project you've done with Coln Construction that stands out to you above all of them? Like, it could be memorable, it could have been difficult, could have been the most expensive, whatever. What is one project in your mind do you go back to when you're thinking about the success at your company?
I probably don't personally celebrate the wins as well as I should. So I'm going to go in a mindset that is probably not negative, but like a learning situation. it's probably not one project. It's probably a collection of projects that maybe early on in my career, I'm proud to say that I don't, if this comes out and somebody listens to it, they might differ with me. But, I've had disagreements with people, but I've never not been able to kind of stand in the conflict and be able to own what we've done. So like those early projects, maybe a handful of them where if something went wrong or the client was disappointing, my biggest fear is having somebody be disappointed in me and my company, which is me and it's us. And so it's it's a big deal. So I think the couple of those projects that stand out are where I was able to learn from it and like take ownership on like, I never want to feel this way again. But those projects kind of brought us to where things are clicking really well for us now. I mean, we have stress and we have issues like any company, but I've got some really great people, really smart people. If I go hunt one morning and I come back to the office, like things are running probably better than when I'm there. But those projects where maybe I was on my own and super high stress, like wife, young babies, like no money, less negative money, like those are the situations that like I'm really proud of because it puts us towards, the biggest house we've ever finished last year that was just a killer house, right? I mean, sauna, pool, sports court, really beautiful house, awesome landscaping. So yeah, I'm proud of the progress, and I'm proud that we did it organically as well, and just slow and steady. Probably would have a lot more money in the bank if I built a bunch of spec houses, but
yeah, but there's no fun in that.
That's right.
Especially in your world.
Yeah.
If you built the same house over and over and over again, you're going to go insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would.
You don't want that.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a glutton for punishment.
Well, Andrew, as we go to wrap up, I think you have one big announcement to make.
I do. Kind of a late year surprise fast forward, but we started the plumbing company a couple of years back, February of last year. It's been very successful. 3 guys in that company. One young guy started working as a project manager for the construction company, moved into the plumbing company. He's been doing an amazing job, but the other 2 guys are very seasoned plumbers. So probably combined between those 2, 60 years of plumbing experience. So very fortunate to have them. I think with anything, with me, I'm a full plate person. So we are combining, we're joining our plumbing company with a few of my buddies. One of our friends, Paul Halfin, owns an electrical business. He does commercial electrical work. Other 2 friends, Bishop Scott and Charlie Niedrak, they run an HVAC company providing HVAC commercial service work, things like that. And then obviously our plumbing company services high-end residential and commercial. So we're combining those companies to form Scout Mechanical. We are going to hit the road, kind of start button January 1st. Plumbing is going to come on middle of January, early February, and we're going to, it's new company, a lot of excitement, a lot of things to do, a lot of stress, but I'm excited about it. We're going to be operating out of a location on Lawrence Road, very high visibility. I'll tell you more about that later, but yeah, it's going to be fun.
You heard it here first.
Starting out about 30, 35 employees.
Andrew, that's great.
Yeah, excited.
That's huge. I now understand the Scout pullover you wore in the board meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
text the guys to say, you cool if I bring it out, so yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, anything we can do at the association to help you grow Scout or get you plugged in anywhere else, just be sure to let us know.
Yeah, we'll do.
Man, I'm excited for you. That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Man. Appreciate it.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to tune in for the next one for the Think Big. If you are free, February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we'd love to have you come and join us at the Southern Home and Garden Show at the Greenville Convention Center to get more ideas on projects that you want to do around your house that builders like Andrew can pull off for you. We look forward to seeing you there. Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Think Big podcast. If you can do me two big favors, if you can subscribe to the podcast to continue getting updates whenever new podcasts drop, and also if you can scroll to the bottom of the page and just give this podcast a review. We want to continue pushing it out to more people, sharing what we're talking about, and educating more people in the building industry. I would also like to say a huge thank you to two of our sponsors, All About Flooring and Go Digital. If you're interested in sponsoring the Think Big podcast for 2025, be sure to reach out to the HBA of Greenville today. Thanks.